Our top focus remains that big story coming out of Florida, where 17 people have been killed after a 19-year-old opened fire at a high school in Parkland in Florida. The suspect, identified as Nicholas Cruz, who is now in police custody, is a former student of the same school and was expelled for disciplinary reasons. Investigators believe that Cruz was armed with multiple magazines and at least one AR-15 rifle. Police have also claimed that Cruz's digital profile has very disturbing content.
He's 19 years old. He was born in 1998 in September. He was a former student of Douglas High School. He got expelled for disciplinary reasons. I don't know the specifics. I think he might have surfaced at Taravella High School. We're still trying to confirm that. I believe there will be one. So our investigators have, that's a great question. Our investigators have certainly began dissecting social media and looking at the website and the Nicholas, I think we spell his name Nikolas, Cruz, was the killer. He is in custody, and we've already began to dissect his websites and the things that social media that he was on, and some of the things that have come to mind are very, very disturbing.
Not the most normal or sane kid in JRTC. He definitely had just something a little off about him, but everyone in the program was just a little quirky, but he was a little extra quirky. And I only remember vaguely of how quirky he was, but it was just more or less that he was aggressive and quiet and shy about when he got aggressive. It was not like him. It was not his character.
Oh, really? Almost like he had a
different personality, because he was very quiet.
The preliminary probe has also hinted that the 19-year-old pulled the fire alarm with an intention to get more people outside, hoping to injure more. Families of the victims have expressed shock at the shooting incident.
She called me around 2:50, 3 o'clock. She told me that she's in one of the classroom closet area. She always texts to us what's going on, and last day she already escaped from there. She's so happy now, but everything is went very bad.
Florida Governor Rick Scott has ordered government flags be flown at half-mast in the wake of the incident. The school has been shut down for the rest of the week. District administration has offered counseling to students and their families.
So as soon as you hear something like this is happening, the first thing you start thinking about the families. You know, you think about your own family. As a grandparent and a parent, the first thing you think about is, you know, God, I hope this never happens to my family. Then you think about, you're furious. How could this ever happen in this country? How could this happen in this state? This is a state that is focused on keeping all of our children safe. You come to the conclusion this is just absolutely pure evil. This state does not tolerate violence. We have law enforcement that will always show up to defend our safety.
U.S. President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump took to Twitter to express their condolences. Trump said, and I quote, "My prayers and condolences to the families of the victims of the terrible Florida shooting. No child, teacher or anyone else should ever feel unsafe in an American school. Just spoke to Governor Rick Scott. We are working closely with law enforcement on the terrible shooting." Right, for the latest, I'm joined by WION correspondent Andy, who's joining us from Chicago. Andy, what are the federal authorities saying in terms of the motive of the attack?
Well, authorities are still trying to pin down the actual motive, and at this hour they are interviewing the suspect, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz. What is interesting here is that unlike most mass shootings that we've seen in the U.S. in the last however many years now, this one, the shooter survived. He survived, and that gives obviously the authorities a much better idea of trying to figure out a motive. But we do know this. from extensive social media contacts, he's been a very troubled young man on social media, in videos, and in chat rooms, and on emails, all kinds of social media. He said a lot of disturbing things, violence towards animals, in fact. And so authorities have good reason to believe that he was a very troubled young man. And in fact, the school was warned about him and warned others that he could be trouble. He was actually expelled from this school, Douglas School, that where the shooting occurred. And his fellow classmates have said that he said disturbing things to them. And so that gives authorities a lot of reason here to think that he was a troubled young man, but they don't yet have an exact reason for why this happened.
Okay. Andy, there's been a spate of shootouts in the U.S. recently. What are the measures that schools are now taking to avoid such incidents in future?
Here in the United States, schools have been doing a lot more for this kind of thing. They actually do drills called active shooter drills, where they, similar to a fire drill, where they enact what might happen if a shooter were to enter the school, and the kids are taught what to do. And in this case, a lot of those protocols were followed. The teachers herded their students into the classrooms, locked the doors, kept them in closets. Kids are often told, turn off your cell phones so that shooters won't find you somewhere in the school. And also, a lot of schools around the United States today have at least one guard, one armed guard who wanders around the school. So schools are taking a lot more precautions these days to plan for this sort of thing. But in this particular case, there's not much you can do when someone with that much firepower comes in.
Right. Thank you so much, Andy, for that update. We'll keep coming back to you because this is the big story that's developing out of Florida. We earlier spoke to WION correspondent Steve Motte from Parkland, Florida, which is just a few blocks away from that particular school where the shooting took place. Let's listen in.
Yeah, we understand at the moment that 17 people lost their lives in this shooting and that several more are in area hospitals. We understand that one of those battling for his life tonight here in the United States is the football coach and security guard Aaron Fease. He apparently stepped in front of several students as the shooting began. He tonight is fighting for his life in hospital. Just one of the stories coming out of this horrific shooting in which 17 people are understood to have died, as you mentioned, at Parkland High School, just very close to where I'm talking to you from tonight. The last press briefing that we heard from the governor of Florida, Rick Scott. He announced that there would be grief counseling offered, not only to the students, but also to staff and family members of students, family and friends of those who attend the school here. We also heard that the school is going to be closed through the rest of the week. All activities and classes, of course, as you might expect, have been cancelled at this school, and of course it's going to remain on lockdown as police continue their investigation. The big effort at the moment is to try to find a motive, what might have motivated the shooter to carry out the shooting. Of course, a suspect is in custody, and questions are being asked about exactly why he is alleged to have carried out this attack. A lot of attention is being paid to his social media activity, to YouTube videos that he watched to try to ascertain why he may have carried out this attack, and also questions being asked about how he managed to obtain an AR-15 rifle and multiple magazines as well, and was able to get that inside the school with all the security that is present there and carry out this attack. So all of those questions remain unanswered this evening, and police are continuing their investigation.